Wow, I can't believe we are here. I would like to welcome everybody once again and for our last talk. My name is Sitawa Mutsielwa, co-founder of Empowerment, which is part of EmpowerWorks. EmpowerWorks also has programs for youth, women, entrepreneurs, and the capacity for activations at events. Welcome and thank you for choosing to join the digital conversations hosted by Empowerment. It is a monologue and your mics will be muted and your videos will be on. So watch what happens around you. The views of the speaker are his and not those of Empowerment. We are providing a platform for these crucial conversations during this lockdown period to happen. I would like to thank the speakers firm for organizing the speakers. I need to thank Ponto for operational excellence behind the scenes, UM Caesar for his vision, and Rian for all the technical support. We have had talks from how to be your brother's keeper during these difficult times, to the problem of the small penis, expressions of toxic masculinity, to gender-based violence during COVID-19, why it escalated, and to spiritual ones today. Why remain the empowerment platform during this lockdown? Well, for us is to change the narrative from pointing a finger at men to inviting men to play their part in finding sustainable solutions to the social challenge of equality and to equip men to rise up above the stereotypes, the status quo, and become holistically great men, and to inspire men to fight for all the right reasons and to stand up for all the right things and unapologetically embrace all things it means to be a man. And lastly, to provide an inclusive platform that challenges every person who calls himself male, no matter their position in life, sexual preference, structure, or nature, to become active agents of change at home, at work, and in their community. Welcome to everyone who joined us directly using our WhatsApp line 082-088-5262, as well as our Empowerment website. I would like to welcome everybody around the world who's listening to us live streaming this conversation on EmpowerWorks, YouTube, Instagram at Empowerment, Twitter at Empowerment, and Facebook at Empowerment. And like we've been doing for all the talks, the hashtag that we've been following is I am Empowerment. The speaker started these conversations, Dr. GA Lechuti. He's a life coach and a transformational speaker. And this afternoon, he's going to be talking to us about man and his God. Over to you, Dr. Lechuti.
Thank you, my dear brothers Chaba and my brothers and viewers all over the country and all over the world. We appreciate this platform that we are afforded by Empowerment, and I am from the speakers firm. Great thanks to Simpiwe Caesar for this great platform. It's been a wonderful week where we've been empowered and encouraged, challenged by different speakers on this digital platform. And today I am going to speak to us brothers from a title or a theme, Man and His God. And I must say that I am going to quote a verse of scripture that I'm going to use as my foundation. And it is in the book of 1 Samuel, in the Old Testament, 1 Samuel, chapter 30, verse 6. There is a story there that I want to base my talk from. And I'm going to paraphrase it. It goes like, David was greatly distressed because people were grieved and spoke of stoning him because their sons, daughters, and wives were taken hostage by the Amalekites. But David encouraged himself in the Lord his God. Now here is a circumstance, here is a condition that David finds himself in as a leader of his people. They find out that when they come back home from war, the Amalekites had captured their wives, their daughters, and their sons. And everybody was grieved. It was a national challenge. It was a national problem. And everybody was grieved, and they spoke of stoning him. And that caused David great stress. My emphasis is on this phrase. And David encouraged himself in the Lord his God. Now, the question is, why did David choose to encourage himself in the Lord his God? Because he was aware that he's fighting a battle that is beyond his capacity, a battle that is beyond his skill, a battle that is beyond his experience. He had never come across such a battle before in his life. He was aware that his knowledge is limited, his expertise is limited, his capacity is limited. From where he was sitting or standing as a man, there was nothing within his reach that he could do to change the situation. And we all find ourselves in that type of a challenge in this COVID-19 phase that we are in as nations of the world. That we are faced with a condition, with a pandemic that is beyond our comprehension level, that is beyond our capacity, that cannot even be matched by our expertise, that we don't even know how to handle in as far as our experience is concerned. And this causes a level of stress that puts us in distress. So it's beyond our human makeup. It's beyond our human capacity. It causes stress. We are not in a state of ease. We are very uneasy. We are very unsettled. We don't know what to do with the condition we find ourselves in. Now, it is for that reason that we must find a higher being. We must find a higher source. We must find a higher power, which we can rely on to enable us to manage ourselves effectively in the state we find ourselves in. David encouraged himself in the Lord his God. It literally means David became his own preacher. My goodness. David became his own coach. David became his own mentor. He became his own motivational speaker. He encouraged himself. David organized a meeting by himself for himself. He sat himself down and gave himself a perspective which said, you are unable to do this by yourself. You don't have the capacity to handle it. You don't have the skill to deal with it. But there must be a higher force, a higher source, a higher energy. There must be a God who you can rely on. You are fighting right now COVID-19, an invisible battle. You need an invisible match that can match this battle, and his name is Jehovah. David encouraged himself in the Lord his God. He went to a meeting with the intention of speaking to himself, giving himself a proper perspective that, yes, things are not fine, but it is not over. Yes, I feel the pinch, but I can still pull myself together. Yes, some things are falling apart. My finances are not in a place where they can manage to carry me and those that depend on me effectively in the season. But I still have my head. It's still functional. I still have my health. It's still intact. David became his own coach. He became his own motivational speaker. He became his own mentor. He became his own counselor. He became his own advisor. My dear brothers, in this season, it is critical that you must take it upon yourself that I will not drown. I will find a way to swim through this phase. I will not break. I will hold myself together. Speak to yourself. I'm a fighter. I'm a hustler. I'm a man of faith. I believe that I will not perish in this phase. I'll come out better, I'll come out smarter, I'll come out stronger, I'll come out more capacitated. Storms are not necessarily engineered to break me, but they are engineered to test my resolve to fight for my dream. They are engineered to test my resolve to fight for my purpose. I have a dream. I have a purpose. Therefore, I refuse to give up. David encouraged himself. My dear brothers, This is what I'm here for this afternoon. You have it in you. Release that voice. Speak to you. Tell yourself it's not yet time to give up. Not here, not now, not this way. I refuse. It can turn around for my benefit. Yes, it's heavy. It's an uphill. It's not easy. But I am a fighter. I am not a quitter. I have what it takes because I believe in myself. David encouraged himself. It's about time that you develop that necessary personal skill of self-encouragement. I'm going to say that again. It's about time that you develop that necessary critical skill of self-encouragement. Be your own voice of courage. Be your own voice of hope. Be your own voice of confidence. Refuse to bow under pressure. Stand your ground. Continue dreaming. Continue planning. Continue researching. Continue consulting. Something will come around. David encouraged himself in the Lord his God. In other words, he told himself, I have a backup of God. God is by my side. I may not see a way out as yet, but I will not behave as though I am already defeated. I still have an ounce of energy. I still have an ounce of hope. I still have an ounce of courage. I'm going to track myself. I'm going to pull myself. I'm going to push myself. I'm going to do what the man has got to do to get himself right. You cannot fix your environment until you fix yourself. You cannot expect a progress-friendly environment until you have a progress-friendly mindset. I'm going to say that again. You cannot expect a progress-friendly environment until you have a progress-friendly mindset. And for that mindset to be a possibility, you've got to tweak how you change. You've got to challenge, you've got to tweak how you think. You've got to challenge how you think. You can't just think doom. You can't just think discouragement. You can't just think failure. You've got to believe that something has got to work out. David encouraged himself. My dear brothers, it is not always where you will find your brother available, because your brother is also faced with their own challenge. So you've got to develop the necessary skill of positive self-talk. You've got to engage yourself. You've got to speak life over your heart, life over your head, life over your soul, and say, I'm pulling myself together. I'm not quitting now. I'm not giving up now. I can't die before my actual death. I'm going to say that again. I refuse to die before my actual death. I still have some ounce of energy, some ounce of conviction for good outcomes. I believe that there is a turnaround that is about to happen for my benefit. David encouraged himself. To encourage yourself, my dear brothers, literally means to strengthen yourself. Strength is not physical until it is emotional. Strength is not physical until it is mental. So strength must be psychological. Strength must be spiritual before it manifests in the realms of the natural. Before you feel it, you've got to believe it. You've got to believe that I'm strong. Don't just believe it, you've got to say it. I am strong. You've got to think thoughts that are strength friendly. You cannot engage your mind in thoughts that oppose your desired outcome. You desire a positive turnaround, but you permit your mind to think about thoughts that are anti your expectation. Refuse to find yourself in a state where your mind contests your desire. You've got to settle your mind. And the only way you can do so is to encourage yourself, which means you must strengthen yourself through positive thoughts, positive content intake. Listen to good inspirational content. Watch movies, stories of men, women who made it in life. Read books. Expose your makeup to content that is inspirational in its own makeup, so that your faith and your confidence must be built up. To encourage oneself means to strengthen oneself emotionally, psychologically, then the effects will be seen by you gathering physical strength and exhibiting physical improvement. To encourage oneself means to inspire oneself. It means to motivate oneself. It means to affirm oneself. It's about self-strengthening. It's about self-inspiration. It's about self-motivation. It's about self-affirmation. When you do so, you encourage yourself. It is an activity. It is not something that you find in a pilot mode where it happens without effort. It is an activity. You've got to engage in the exercise. You don't just wake up in the morning and find yourself encouraged. You wake up and determine in your heart that you're going to think thoughts that gravitates you towards the energy of encouragement. It's an activity. It's not an experience that is on a pilot mode. You just wake up, you're strengthened. No. You've got to determine in your heart that today, as I wake up, I will read something that will strengthen me. I will think about something that will strengthen me. I will watch something that will strengthen me. I'll say something that will strengthen me. So it's a self-led activity. You must become your own leader in that context. You must channel yourself in that direction. It just does not happen out of its own. You've got to make it happen. You must be self-driven. You must be determined. It's got to happen. That is what you do when you encourage yourself. Self-strengthening, self-inspiration, self-motivation, self-affirmation. It means when you do so, you're having a talk with yourself about possibilities. You can't just be thinking about impossibilities. You've got to sway your mood in the direction of possibilities. So it means when you are encouraging yourself in the Lord your God, you are having a talk with yourself about possibilities, that it's possible that I might make that curve. I might make that curve. It looks sharp, but if I'm careful enough, I might make that curve. If I revisit my drawing board and rearrange my priorities, I might make that curve. You're having a talk with yourself about your condition, but you emphasize hope over your circumstances. You emphasize hope over your conditions. It is when you express your confidence in God's competence to carry you. I'm going to say that again. It is when you express your confidence in God's competence to carry you. I don't see him. He's invisible. As much as I don't see this virus, it's also invisible, but the effects are visible. I don't see this God, but his ability can be translated into visible results. I am confident in his competence to carry me through. So you express that to yourself. You are encouraging yourself. You are encouraging yourself. You don't settle for negative thoughts and allow them to dictate your response. You allow your dream to channel your attitude. You allow your dream to channel your response. You have a dream of a good outcome. You have a dream of a good result, and allow that positive picture to dominate your entire being. You are encouraging yourself. My dear brothers, when you know God's competence, and you know your limitation, you find pleasure in focusing on his competence more than your limitation. You cannot wake up in the morning and focus more on what you cannot do to a point that you overlook what you can do. I'm going to say that again. You cannot wake up in the morning and focus more on your inabilities. You get so consumed by your limitations to a point that you overlook your potential and your abilities. You've got to know that you have a certain level of strength, a certain level of knowledge, a certain level of expertise that can pull you from point A to point B. It may not necessarily take you to point Z as yet, but it's helping you to register positive movement. There's mobility. You're moving from A to B. The fact that you have dealt with the hurdles between A and B must give you enough courage to get ready to move from B to C. My goodness, don't set unrealistic goals. You see, self-motivation, self-inspiration, self-guidance does not mean you must be unrealistic. It means you must be hopeful in a hopeless environment. So you say, I'm on point A, and I've got to register some movement. I've got to move from A to B. And you are grateful for every single step you take from A towards B. Even before you reach B, you celebrate the fact that you are no longer at A. You've moved a bit from A, you are halfway to B. So on your way to B, you are thankful that you are no longer on A. Gratitude has a rejuvenation effect. Gratitude has a rejuvenation effect. It rejuvenates you. When you are grateful of small progress, grateful of small steps, you become rejuvenated. Your energy levels are rising again because you are grateful. Gratitude is anti-discouragement, is an antidote for discouragement. When you say thank you, you release a force that negates the force of discouragement. So gratitude has a rejuvenation effect. It rejuvenates your soul. It rejuvenates your spirit. My goodness. I hope my brothers you hear me. So as you move in the direction of positive outcomes, you may not necessarily have reached the point where there's a manifestation of what you are expecting, but at least you've registered movement. Be grateful for every day that comes. Be grateful that it's a Sunday and you are up. Don't worry about next week Saturday. Appreciate this Sunday. When you wake up tomorrow morning, be grateful that it's a Monday and you are up. Thank the good Lord up there that you kept me intact, you kept me sober, you kept me safe, you kept me focused. I'm grateful that I am not alone. I don't feel you, I don't see you, but my goodness, there's some progress. I know that by myself, I wouldn't have pulled myself up to this point. There must have been some supernatural injection of enablement. I'm infused with supernatural enablement. I may not have the right words to explain it, but I can count my steps. I know I'm waking up on a different step. Yesterday, I was not where I am, and this alone calls for gratitude. My dear brothers, when you do that, you will achieve what we call psychological relief, mental relaxation. You'll achieve what we call psychological relief, mental relaxation. Mental relaxation. It means pressure will cease, anxiety will cease, fear will cease, confusion will cease. When you encourage yourself, you'll achieve a psychological state of relief, where pressure no longer dominates your thinking order, where anxiety no longer dictates to you how to think, where fear no longer makes your opinion to be blurry, where confusion no longer causes you to be slow in decision making. So there is clarity of thought. There is clarity of thought. You are beginning to see things from a proper perspective. Hope gives you a proper perspective. Hope restores proper perception. So when you encourage yourself, you reach a level of psychological relief, where pressure ceases, where anxiety ceases, where fear ceases, where confusion ceases, and you regain mental creativity. You regain mental innovation ability, innovativeness. Your mind starts to think solutions. It starts to think how to manage myself through this phase of pressure. My dear brothers, it is not as bad as we think it is. We have seen another day today. I believe and hope we'll see another day tomorrow. May the good Lord, today I spoke to you, both as a coach and as a preacher. Allow me to express my confidence in God on your behalf. May the good Lord strengthen you. May the good Lord keep you optimistic. May you remain hopeful. Wake up in the morning and appreciate that you're still breathing. Wake up in the morning and appreciate that all organs of your body are still well coordinated and well operational. Wake up in the morning and thank God that your sibling is alive. Your mom is alive. Your brother, who's your sibling, your spouse, your lover, whoever is alive. Wake up in the morning and be grateful that your country is pulling through. Nations of the world are pulling through. May God bless you. May God keep you. May God strengthen you. We love you. We are in this together. Remain strong in the Lord and in the power of his might. Thank you, Empowerment, for the opportunity. Thank you, Brother Shaba. Thank you, Simprema Caesar. Thank you, the technical team, Rian and everybody. Thank you, EmpowerWorks. I am my brother's keeper. That's what I started with on Monday. I don't even remember the day. I think it's Monday. But I am Empowerment, and I am the speaker's fan. Keep winning. Grace upon grace. Thank you.
Wow. Once again, thank you so much, Dr. Lechuti. Thank you so much. As I said, you started the conversations on Wednesday. And today is Wednesday, and we've had a fantastic run. We started with how to be your brother's keeper during difficult times, moving on to leaving a legacy for your children, then knowledge of self-determination, the problem of small penis, expressions of toxic masculinity, then moving on to the boy child and endangered species. Don't allow your erection to determine your direction. Then we did the 10 fundamentals of successful marriage. Then we spoke about gender-based violence against men, a silent crisis. And then we touched on men and principles, how to navigate the new era post-COVID-19. We then moved on to gender-based violence during COVID-19, why it has escalated, and what we can do to stop it. And then we moved on to men and the LGBTQI community. This morning we did 2 talks on men and spirituality, and then we just ended with man and his God. I'd like to thank everyone who joined us today on the live digital platforms of EmpowerWorks, YouTube, Instagram at EmpowerMen, Twitter at EmpowerMen, Facebook EmpowerMen, and the hashtag I am EmpowerMen. We'll not have been able to do this without your support and encouragement during this difficult time that the whole world and humanity is going through. And I want you to raise your hands now as I unmute all of you to just thank all the contributors that have helped us during this week, and more specifically, just now, Dr. Lechuti, just to say thank you very much for coming into our home, to where we are.
You.
Thank you.
Bravo. That was great.
Thank you.